I'm delighted to be here today in conversation with Nicole Dudley, who is the brand manager at Cadbury for Christmas and Halloween. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for joining me today. So first, I wanted to start with some congratulations because the list of awards that Cadbury has won for creative effectiveness for the Glass and a Half campaign was already astonishing, but recently you've won some further awards. So at the IPA Awards, Cadbury won the Broadbent Special Prize for the best dedication to effectiveness, which we know through our work for you is a real reflection of the mindset and the partnerships that you create. So really building that long-term sustained success with the campaign. And you also won a silver award for Secret Santa, which we was really, really delighted to see. So the case study for Secret Santa explains how you became the fastest growing confectionery brand at Christmas, rewriting the rules of festive marketing and inventing a new ritual of mass participation. So far, the idea has engaged 3.4 million people, and I'm delighted to say I was one of those. It's really tough
Brilliant
to
to
find
hear.
Jeff in Solihull last year. It's created a 43% increase in Cadbury sales, generating £80 million of additional revenue since launch, which is just phenomenal. So interestingly, the entry was called Stop Weeping on the Sofa, Start Gifting with a Poster, How Cadbury Won Christmas. So could you give us a brief description, please, of the Secret Santa campaign, for those who may be unfamiliar with it, and how you use a connected multi-channel approach so effectively?
Absolutely. So, Christmas is a real time of magic, connection, and indulgence for many, but it's also very competitive. So, we need to stand out. And Cadbury Secret Santa is an activity that we've had for a number of years. Back in 2018, the idea was first brought to life, but it was a much smaller scale, below the line touring postal service to a select number of cities. So back in 2022, we supercharged the idea to make it even more accessible. And ultimately, we are enabling the UK nation to send a free bar of Cadbury chocolate in secret to someone special, all by finding a poster, scanning the QR code, and participating in the campaign. It's a wonderful campaign to work on, really heartwarming and generous at the heart of it. And I think the approach we've taken is posters are a key part of the campaign. Obviously, this is how you participate and find and scan the QR code available. But what we've really tried to do is make sure there's this purple thread, this creative connection across every touch point, with our distinctive assets, and even Jeff from our TV ad, really ensuring that across every channel and touch point, we're consistent creatively, but we're also optimizing to that specific channel as well, whether it's bespoke formats, supers, whatever we need, really trying to ensure that we show up as best we can across all places.
Brilliant. And I know that you set out to really disrupt and do things differently. So, that's something we have a lot of evidence of at Kantar. So we know difference makes a difference, as you'll
Yeah.
hear us saying on repeat. So that's true when it comes to volume sales, because you're predisposing more people to choose you when you're different. That's one of the three drivers. But also in terms of price. So we know that people are willing to pay more for brands that they perceive to be different. So that's kind of one side of the coin. The other side of the coin we see in our Link Plus database is that when you're different, it fuels creative effectiveness. So if we look at award winners, they land on average in the top 20% of all ads for distinctiveness, and you gain additional impact. So you're amplifying what you get for your spend, the bang for your buck, if you like. So an additional 20% when you're distinctive, and when you're not, you're throwing money away. So in the case of Secret Santa, you really proved that an unconventional approach to a major trading period, to Christmas, when everyone
Yeah.
else was trying to be John Lewis, you broke the rules, you did it different. That delivered unprecedented results. So what do you think other businesses can learn from your success and apply them themselves?
I think reflecting back when we wanted to take the idea of Cadbury Secret Santa and scale it up and make it more accessible, there was a bit of nervousness because the idea of scanning a poster, although since COVID and the pandemic, QR codes are more familiar and scanning those is perhaps a more natural behavior now. Scanning an advert or a poster on the street isn't something that many ads and brands have asked people to do before. And so there was a bit of nervousness of, are people actually going to participate. When there's free chocolate on offer, we found absolutely they will participate, which is great to hear. But yeah, I think really what we were able to bring is this new idea, this different idea about participating, scanning a poster to be that catalyst of generosity for people so that they could send a free bar of chocolate in secret to someone special. And I think we were able to do that quite uniquely, being Cadbury, being the nation's favourite, and the scale that we have really gave us the confidence to do so. And I think the work with Kantar, testing our storyboards and creative ideas before we go into filming and committing to the ads really helped us back when we were building the campaign back in 2022, and it gave us real confidence, and it ultimately shaped the campaign quite a bit, because I think we altered the storyline quite a lot ultimately to ensure that the comprehension, people really did understand what we were asking them to do, to go out, find a poster, and what we were offering as a result when they did.
That's great to hear. Thank you for that. It's interesting you mentioned actually, because I did some analysis earlier this year looking at that boldness, and getting understanding is really key, because if you're bold but people haven't got a clue what's going on, they disengage. So it's just striking that balance right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really easy, I think, to be buffeted towards convention or to replicate what others are doing. So I mentioned the John Lewis effect, and I've been doing Christmas for years now, and I really credit you and the team at Cadbury with driving a change in Christmas advertising last year. So I think it was 2022 was your first year out with Jeff. And then the following year, we saw fewer tearjerkers. We saw a lot more ads attempting a really different approach, and we saw ad distinctiveness increase a lot. So across the ads on average, it was in the top 13%, which is just astonishing. So I think it really does show how ad distinctiveness is really important. Now, most people will think you have in mind one audience, so the people who are going to go out and buy a bar of chocolate and engage with the Secret Santa initiative, of course, at Christmas time. But I know there are multiple audiences you're trying to engage with. So yes, those consumers, but also retailers and employees. What importance do you place on your content working across those groups? And what would you guide others to think about when developing campaigns?
I think the love that we've seen for the campaign, both internally and externally, is wonderful. And that is in part down to the idea at the heart of it. Who would you send chocolate in secret to someone special? Who would you want to thank and reward, give a little lift to, is so lovely and speaks to so many people. But engaging all of those stakeholders, like I say, internal employees, our retailers, has been just as important to help make the campaign a success and get feedback as well. And I think sharing progress updates, bringing the poster to our Bourneville and Uxbridge sites, across the UK for our employees in the previous years, really has kind of helped to build that connection with the campaign. So I think because the insight at the heart of it is so generous is one big tick, but really trying to engage and celebrate it with people as well. We've been talking Christmas already at work, and making sure people know that Jeff is coming back, and everyone's delighted and excited for the campaign to return. So really, shouting proudly about the campaign and the results that we've seen so far is definitely helped.
Brilliant. I loved how, as part of the 200 Years campaign as well, you had an activation directed at people who corner shop owners,
Yes.
reflecting their importance over the years to Cadbury's success. I thought that was a really wonderful gesture and a really important one. So we see from our cross-media database the importance of integration, and you touched a bit on this already, how you make sure your assets are connected, that you've got that glue across them, but also that you're customizing them to context. And we see when you do both of those, you get a 57% uplift. So you applied this to Secret Santa, and it's another manifestation of the generosity idea that's at the heart of Cadbury communication. So, it may not be obvious to everybody how it is, how it's got that connection. So how would you describe its authenticity, and how as a business do you ensure you get that across everything? Because I think you're really leading the way in achieving that across all the content Cadbury creates as a business.
Yeah, the The team on the Cadbury, I guess, standard chocolate, as opposed to seasonal with Christmas, do an amazing job in bringing Cadbury generosity to life in multiple different ways. You know, the core generous instinct and insight is consistent, but they bring it to life in different iterations, different creatives that may appeal to new audiences, whether it's family, friends, or strangers, demonstrating those acts of generosity. And I think for us on the Christmas team, we wanted to keep that consistent. You know, we are still Cadbury at Christmas, so we needed to make sure that we were showing up in a generous way as well, but in a way that could also stand out, given Christmas is almost the Super Bowl of advertising in the UK a little bit. So we wanted to make sure that we could stand out clearly with this unique idea of sending chocolate in secret via our posters. And I think ultimately, giving without expectation, without expecting a thank you, is the most generous act of all, really. Giving just because, without expecting a thank you in return. And that's exactly what Cadbury Secret Santa is. It's sending chocolate in secret, so you don't say who it's from. You're not meant to follow up and say, did you get my parcel, did you get my present? It truly is the most generous act of all that we help the nation, or enable the nation, to participate in.